call to order the Scott County School Board's June meeting. Time's flying, school's out, but we're still gonna have some meetings this summer. So we're gonna stand, have a moment of silence, and we're gonna follow by the pledge of allegiance.
Mr. Mayor, could you please
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight, and we'll move right along here. On our agenda here, we got items to add to the agenda. Anybody got anything to add to the agenda? If not, I need a motion for approval. Got a motion from Mr. Hood. Got a second from Mr. Mead. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, our last meeting was May the 7th, a regular meeting. If y'all had a time to look over our minutes from the last meeting, if y'all had any questions or concerns, anything to go over is them.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion for Mr. Housewright?
Second.
Got a second from Mr. Hood. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of claims. These are past bills there for June. Haven't got any particular question for any particular item, sums, amount, or anything. We'll try to get to the correct person to answer.
Make a motion.
Got a motion from Mr. Sally?
Second.
Got a second from Mr. Hood. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Approval of Scott County Literacy Plan. It looks like Miss Kelsey Taylor's here, so I guess you're the presenter.
Okay.
Welcome.
Do I come up here? Thank you all for your time tonight. Ms. Quillen regrets she couldn't be here tonight. She had a family emergency. But Ms. Quillen, myself, and the reading specialist worked to develop the Scott County Schools Literacy Plan. This plan is required through the new Virginia Literacy Act by the state of Virginia. And we think we have a good plan for our students in grades K through 8. I know you have a copy of it in your packet. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. The plan includes our school division vision for literacy, which is to embrace science-based research, provide high-quality instruction and best practices through the use of evidence-based literacy instruction to ensure that all of our students become confident and proficient readers. Section 2 lists the high-quality materials we've chosen in Scott County. Our core curriculum, which I think you all reviewed and voted on at the last meeting, is the Savas My View program, which we're using in grades K through 5. For supplemental instruction in K through 2, we are going to be using the Hegarty Reading Program, which many of our schools are already using at this time, and it's proven very successful. For students needing more interventions in grades K through 3, we're going to use a plan developed by the University of Florida called Youth Life, and Word Connections, which was developed by Texas University for grades 3 through 5. Section 3 of the plan ensures that we are providing training to our teachers, our administrators. You can see there the schedule of training over the next school year. Lots of training. Section 4 tells how we will monitor student progress and what assessments we'll be giving. Those are all listed there. Section 5 of the plan shows how our division will monitor the progress our students are making to ensure that they are on target to make the progress that we want them to make. And Section 6 tells how we will include parents, caregivers, and the community into the plan. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, it looks like you're gonna have a busy summer.
It's going to be busy. Lots of new training for teachers, administrators, all the way across the board. So we all should be really prepared to give some great instruction over this school year.
I feel sure you will. That's,
It's really a great thing for our teachers. I've been through several of the trainings already myself, and am excited to see what progress we're able to make.
yeah, I'm looking forward to see how well this does. I think if the teachers are excited about it, the students will be excited about it. I really do.
I agree.
Thank you for all your work.
Well,
Thank you.
Make a motion? I'll make a motion for approval.
I second it.
Got a motion for me, got a second for Ms. Edwards, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. All right, looks like Miss Brenda Robinette and Miss Vermillion has got some stuff to go over.
At the last month's meeting, Ms. Vermillion presented the social emotional learning program. It's Komochi. It's for our children pre-K through second grade. The program is research-based. We hope to expand so that the program will go through the fifth grade. It has been reviewed by counselors. It was piloted at Yuma Elementary School. These are some of the things pictures that the children will be covering. It talks about feelings and emotions, how to act when they're frustrated, what to do when they're angry, how to react to other children if they get mad, and the proper way. It teaches respect. It teaches children to love one another instead of trying to fight with one another. The guidance counselors have reviewed it, and we haven't found anything controversial in it. So we feel like it's a good program for the children. If we put it in pre-K through second grade, it'll cost us around $11,000, and then we would like to expand it later on to the fifth grade. Like I said, it was piloted at Yuma this year, and it was very successful, so we would like to expand it. So we've come to you to get a vote of approval for the Komochi Social Emotional Learning Program.
What grade you said again?
It's pre-K through second to begin with, but we want to expand it to the fifth grade.
What kind of timeline will we be looking at to make it to the fifth grade?
If we go ahead this year and do like the $11,000 for pre-K through 2, we'll expand it next year.
The cost of that curriculum, the kit, they will have the resources to go ahead and do some lessons all the way up through the fifth grade.
Sounds like a plan.
We hope.
You say you need approval?
Sir?
You say you need it approved?
Yes, sir.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Got a motion from Mr. Sally, got a second from Mr. Hood, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
We go every year for our training stations for the buses, and, we were all preached safety, I mean, youngins is the main concern. Let them off on the right, don't back up. I mean, just common sense stuff. And in the last few years at that school, and I know it's a problem everywhere on people bringing them in cars, and I know Weber City is one of the world's worst here, everybody talks. But at Yuma, we used to pull up, they'd have our youngins lined up, we'd load up, leave, we'd gone. And you wouldn't see a car, I don't know when they had them to do it, or, pick them up, or when not. And, but in the last few years, it's got to where that you can't hardly even, which last year, this past school year, we did kind of do it amongst ourselves, kind of figure out what time to get there and what time not to, and we missed the most of it. But in the last few years, it's got where that there's two state roads that runs up to that school. The left-hand side's Road 866, and the right-hand side that goes up around in front of the school is 9929, I believe the road numbers. But if you got in there at the wrong time, you would have cars 3 wide, going up one side. They'd be parked down the other side, so you can't even get in and out. I mean, it's a problem to get in and out, and you don't know who's gonna run in front of you. I know for a while, you could pull up straight there in front of the door to stop, and you'd have to be unloading with your lights on, your stop sign out, and you'd have one shoot around you and pull in front of you to let a young'un out. And as you all know, if there's a little one gets off a bus and they drop something and the wind blows it, they're gonna go after you before anybody can catch it. And I mean, it's just it's a bad situation, and I don't know the solution to it, but I thought it's something that ought to be addressed because it's got worse in the last few years. We've had problems in the last few years, even have teachers pass us when we was loading and unloading. We've had teachers to flag them around us when we're loading or unloading. And according to state law, I mean, even if it's a 4-lane highway with no physical divider, everything's got to stop. And I don't see where that would be any different than it would be there. I mean, that's because it's a 2-lane road and then just a place for the school to unload. But the issue that really got me, I guess, well, at the time, mad, was 2 days before school was out. I started pulled up to let our young'uns off. The other guy that I meet there, he was parked in front of the school. And we had worked it out amongst ourselves that I actually stayed in the road part of it to kind of keep them from running around us. Because I'd pull up right to the back end of his bus on the roadside and let them off across the back, and they'd go around and get in. And that kindly kept everything from trying to pass us if anybody wanted to. Well, I had a little one down there that I needed to say something to about, of course, making his little sister cry. I mean, you know how little ones are. And I was sitting there talking to him, and the other bus started to pull out, and I started to put him off the bus to go on, go in the building. And I had one to flag a car up the right-hand side of it. Me sitting there with the lights on and the door open, and didn't have a clue in the world whether they'd been a young'un, was dropped something, looking for something, or what was coming off. But flag going up beside him, and yes, I got mad. And I asked him, I said, what kind of idiot are you? Well, you sit there for 20 minutes, we've got to get these cars unloaded. And I just thought, what's the problem here that it no longer than it took me to say what I needed to say, that he wouldn't flag one up the right-hand side of the bus and sit there with lights on. But, I mean, that's not the first time this year that's happened, that the one's come up the right-hand side. And it's just, it's going to be a situation. One of these days, Lord help, I don't hope it ever happens, but one of these days, there's going to be a young get hit. And whether you realize it or not, you've got teachers, your teachers goes out there and gets them out of the car. They're actually going into the road. Because it's like I said, that is a state road up through there. And they're going into the road and getting them out of cars and taking them back across to the schoolhouse. And I don't know what kind of liability that would be for anybody going and getting them out of the car in the middle of the road at a school, but I wouldn't want to put myself in that position. And it just, I don't know what the solution to it is. I've talked to the county sheriff's department. I've talked to the highway department about maybe marking it off down there. I have talked to the state police, and don't seem like anything does any good. I know me and Ms. Babb has talked about it several times, and don't know a solution to it. But I just thought it was something that you all ought to know about. You know, I'm sure you probably did, but I don't know if you know it was as bad as what I'm talking about. And it's like I said, this year's not quite been as bad because we've got to run at a little bit different times than we normally did. But I still think it should be a safety concern. I mean, I've been fortunate. I drove same bus run for 20-some years. I'm hauling youngins of youngins that I haul. I've hauled part of your all's youngins. And I just don't want to see none of them get hurt. I mean, I've got grandchildren. I don't want, and they rode my bus. I don't want them to take a chance of them getting hurt. I don't want to see anybody's young get hurt. But it's like I said, if you've got to live in some of these pre-K or kindergarten or whatever, you know as well as I do, if they drop something, they're going to go after it. And a lot of times, the teachers are trying, the ones on bus duty are trying to tend to the others. And, you know, you can't watch all of them all the time. And I'm just, the thing that hits me is be sitting there and watch one do that and one run around the bus and hit. And what could you do? You just sit there and watch it. And I don't want to see that. And I just thought that you all should be aware of it because, you know, like I said, we sit through the bus meetings and we go listen to all the safety, you know, and that makes good sense. And I will not let one off to cross the road unless there's no other way. I'll circle, plumb out, and come back before I'll do that. But I don't want to see, and you know, that's what they tell us to do, not to back up and this and that. But you've got these people that comes in there and they think, they act like they're the only ones that's got any youngins that's down there, and they're the only ones that makes any difference. It don't make any difference about anybody else's. I asked one of the teachers down there one time, I said, when you was going to college, I said, to get your education, I said, you figure you're going to be a doorman? And she just kind of looked at me and said, huh? I said, what are you doing? I said, you're out here in front of the building going, opening the doors and getting people out of cars. I said, I didn't figure that was the teacher's place. We can pull up there, if those cars unload, there'll be one pull up straight in front of the door. They'll have to get out, get their book bag, get their clothes on them, hug and kiss them, and then stand and watch them go in the door. Then they get in the car, pull out, and the one that's sitting straight behind it pulls straight up and does the same thing. And if they can do that and nobody say anything to them, we should have time to unload and not have to expect somebody's going to pass us on the right-hand side of the bus or run in front of us. And I just think it's like the good Lord, it's never happened, but I'm afraid, as crazy as people are anymore, it could at any time. And I don't know what kind of, it's like I said, I don't know what kind of liability the teachers should be setting themselves up for on getting out in the middle of the road and getting youngins out of cars. And I know I wouldn't be, if I was the teachers, I wouldn't want to be doing that. And you never know. I mean, what if the law was chasing somebody and somebody didn't know the area and just turns in there and starts around there? I mean, you don't know what's going to happen. I've been hit twice in the bus, once by a Mack truck and once by a car, and I didn't know either one of them was coming until they hit me. And it's a bad situation when you do that, and I just don't want to see it happen. And I just thought that you all ought to know, and that's, I guess, all I've got to say on the situation, but that's, I think it's something that ought to be addressed somewhere in form or fashion. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Moore. The school, I don't know if I ever dropped the kids off, but I did pick them up from time to time. But it's been a long time because my kids are grown up now. But we will discuss that. I will personally go down and talk to Ms. Babb. And I'm sure Mr. Perks will go down. We'll check it out and see if there's any solution and get her side of it and go from there. But I appreciate your
Would
time.
it constantly moving single line, that would help with it. Instead of letting, if you have one single line constantly moving, I know people will probably be out the road getting in there, but as they're letting off in the morning, that would alleviate the morning problem. Because nobody stays around in the morning. You know, instead of just having people running around, that would eliminate the morning problem. Now, when they're picking them up in the evening, I don't know if the cars that's already there, they can
But like you
get
saying,
what they want and go.
yeah, but like you saying, they was kissing them babies.
Yeah. I know,
They're-
but it's
they're
one
wild.
thing, you come by Shoemaker, there ain't nobody no more go out than go by Shoemaker.
Yeah,
Ain't no problem there. I mean, it's a single line up that hill, that's basically all you got. You set your place and you go home. If you want to let your kids off, you get a little early. You don't have a problem. That would help tremendously, it sounds like.
I know at Duffield, they have a system down there, and I don't know that any other school has that, but they have an area on the end, a parking area, and they line them up about 4 or 5 wide. And the teachers bring the kids out to the cars in the evening, and they get in the cars, and they're nowhere near where the buses are loading. That may not be a logistical solution to
Well,
that.
that's the problem down there, because, I mean, there's no,
There's only
you've got the 2-lane road and about 1 lane that's right there in front of the awning part of the school, and there's nowhere else to go.
yeah, all schools will be different. All schools will have different entrances, different exits.
Just a circle about all these.
It's just a circle.
So Kevin,
There's a lot of cars around that circle.
You see this every day.
Pardon?
You see this every day. I mean, you're more, I mean, the rest of us here are just sitting here trying to imagine.
Yeah.
But you probably have an ideal that could help us. And if you do, would you share that with Jason, maybe for us to look at? You know, or some of the other bus drivers, you guys talk, you know, what are some of your all's ideals about the ways to improve that?
Well, of course, there's not a whole lot of space anywhere that you look. And I know, I mean, you talked about this 3 or 4 years ago. If there had been some way to go around the back of the building and connect to the road, you don't, what you got, Jason, 150 foot?
You have to take that playground and stuff out there and make that turn through there. Or you'd have to go through the field, one of the two is what you'd have to do. You'd have to go through the parking lot, around and hit that connector road. and
Yeah.
back through.
We ain't touching that playground.
Yeah, it's not the new one, it's not the new
No,
one.
it's not.
It's the old one, it's the old one in the back, it's where the young.
Show something about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
yeah.
But I mean, if that way they could let them off and pick them up at the back door, and you know they wouldn't be close to the road, and they'd be quite a bit of distance around through there. So the ones that comes at 2 o'clock sit and wait for school to get out, they might have a place to park up through there.
If you took that part out and made a connector, you could send the cars riding, you could send the buses left, and they could come back out through the road, and you could do that, but it'd be taking the back part of the property this way, it would be looking.
Yeah, that was the worst thing. You'd have a strip around there and you don't need more than 1 lane. I mean, but you still have the strip around through there. And you could block it when schools, like to do at Shoemaker. I mean, when school takes up. But I don't, other than that suggestion, I don't know what you could do, but it's like I said, it's not been quite as bad this year, because we kind of got to running, picking times when there wasn't nobody there, and kind of figured out the best time to come in. But there is times that you'll come in there, don't matter if we're running on the exact minutes. Today there may not be anybody there, and tomorrow when you pull in, they'll be lined all the way back down to the road. And it's a problem. And like I said, I don't know where you go or where you could say to go, because you've got a 2-lane road and about 1 lane's width there between the 2-lane and the school, and that's it.
Well, like I said,
It sure is good to know that we've got people like you that are concerned enough about this situation to come and talk to us. That is good, that is really good to know. I appreciate that, I'm sure everybody else does as well.
like I said, I don't know if we'll come up with a solution, but Jason and I lives a mile and a half from school. We can meet with Miss Babb, we can actually call you, get your point of view sometime. But we'll look at it, talk about it tonight. I appreciate you coming, and not to, cut this off, but we gotta keep going. But I appreciate you coming in, and we'll discuss it, and all safety items, of course, important. We'll see what we can do. Agenda item is a proposal for developing a student advisory board. I guess that's Ms. Patricia Edwards' idea. And
Yes.
we'll discuss it.
It it is something that I've thought about for quite some time. We had these kids in here from FCCLA, Twin Springs FCCLA, a couple months ago, and they were anxious to talk to us about what they were doing in FCCLA. I would like to see a group of kids from each of the 3 county high schools. Maybe they could vote these students in on maybe the recommendations of faculty in conjunction with the faculty, the FCCLA teachers and directors, and we could get these kids and they can discuss with us things that it may be things like cafeteria, changes they would like to see in the cafeteria, or just any number of things, because these kids are really willing to talk to you if you're willing to listen, and they have some pretty good ideas. And I'd like to set that up. We just have to set some parameters and get Mr. Sturgill to kind of lay out some kind of something to go by, and maybe get this started at the beginning of the school year and see what happens. I've talked to some of the kids about it, and they're like, that sounds really good. I would really like that. I'd like to be able to have my input on what's going on in the schools. So, we can tell them yes, no, maybe, or we can tell them to hush, whatever. But I just think it's good to hear from the kids. It's just like it is with the Pledge of Allegiance. Those kids have really enjoyed that, I think, and the parents have enjoyed it, and I know I have certainly enjoyed having them here and being a part of it. So it's just kind of include the people that we're working for. And we can table this, to discuss it further, and but I did put in here that, and this is in Virginia code. It is allowed for, it is approved, and I think it would be a good thing. And my statement just says, pursuant to the Virginia code, I'm proposing the addition of a student advisory board consisting of students from each of the 3 county high schools. The method of selecting or electing student representatives is to be decided by the school board members in conjunction and consultation with administration at the schools. The selection and election will take place soon after the beginning of the 2024-25 school year, and perhaps we would allow the student body to elect representatives, which will encourage their participation perhaps in general elections once they reach the age of majority. So just kind of introducing them to community service and the way things work in the county, and that's something a lot of adults need to know, is how things work in the county. So I think that would be a plus educationally, as well as good for us to hear from the students.
So, are you wanting to table it and us get more informed on the idea, or you want to vote on it tonight? or-
Well, if you guys want to vote,
It's up to you,
we need to, we need to discuss the,
And to me, I think it would be helpful to know at least a general direction, because if it's not something that the board does not want to entertain, then there's no need to go through as far as regulations and working on that. However, if that's something the board wants to entertain, to me, I think that it would be tabled, brought back before the board at next month's meeting or prior to the school year with some formal type guidelines for official approval.
So you want to vote on the idea of bringing this up, approval?
Table it to right now and talk about it. but-
I'm just wanting some general direction, whether, there doesn't have to be an official vote tonight, but if that's something that the board wants to continue looking at, I don't mind to put in the work in order to proceed with that.
But
So the answer is yes, I guess to table it, potentially either way, but at the same time, it would be nice to know from a board perspective, is this something that you all want to consider? If so, we can put together a couple of different proposals and then present it to the board for official approval in a couple of months.
So we want to discuss that a little later, if you want to stay right now.
I don't think that'd probably be a closed session item.
All right. So in my mind, I think you need a vote, but
Probably, yes.
Vote to table it, or what we got?
no, I think you need a vote to see if anybody wants to continue with it. That's the way I interpret it. If that's the case, you need a motion for that.
Thought we were gonna do it to close the meeting.
Let me see.
Hey,
That's what he said.
Oh, I must have misunderstood.
Let's talk about it in the closed meeting, didn't we?
I don't know if that's a closed meeting item as far as
All
that.
right.
I think he wants to,
And again, I don't think that I really need an official vote, and I can discuss it with you all, you know, later on individually. I just want to make sure that whichever way I'm proceeding, that I'm doing it at the direction of the board, if that makes sense. And I'll tell you what, the easiest thing for me to do would be, I can put something together, that way you all can at least look at it. And then if you all decide not to do it, that's perfectly fine, but to me, at least you all have the information there as far as what it would look like. And I've got no problem doing that.
that's fine with me. Y'all want to table it, or?
Let Mr. Sturgill work on it, get some parameters and guidelines and.
And that's perfectly fine with me. I'll work on it and get some guidelines put in place, and then that doesn't mean that it has to pass by any means at a later date, but at least you all have as much
Some
information
concrete.
possible on it to decide whether you all want to proceed on it or
Haven't we been given that a lot already? Some of the information on that?
not. We've talked about it in the past, yeah.
Well, if y'all want to table it, that's fine. I'd rather just go ahead and, I got my mind made up. I'm looking for some guidance. Y'all want to table it or what? If not, I need a motion for,
I think we should, until we look at the parameters, y'all do what you want to.
well, I got, if you want to table it, we'll table it. I just need somebody besides me to bring it up. So we'll table that item for the next meeting, let Will come up with some more information. On the student advisory, public comment, does anyone wish to address the board at this time? All right, looks like Mr. Ferguson's got a half a dozen to do things to go over, so I'll hand it over to Mr. Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. First item we have is the tentative closeout meeting, which is scheduled for Thursday, June the 27th. Would it be advisable to move that up to possibly that Tuesday before? Does anyone have a conflict with the 25th, I guess it is? 25th, June the 25th. That would give us a few days if there were some oddball bills, unexpected bills that we could, after our meeting, that were to come into play, that if the board would allow me to go ahead and proceed with the payment of those unexpected bills that could potentially come in that, in order to finish out the fiscal year.
Is that the end of the week, Thursday, Friday?
Would that Tuesday, the 25th, would that be suitable with everyone? That's whatever time is.
Just, I'm back in town at that time, so I'll be here. We just need 4 people at least to be here. If anybody else knows if they're gonna be on vacation or not at that time. But I will be here.
I am correct, June 25th, right, which is the Tuesday, last Tuesday of the month. And just whatever times at your own convenience.
Anybody else think they'll be here that day? All right. Sounds good?
Just give us a time.
Yeah, I'll work with it on that. What we gonna make time now?
Yeah, it'd be good.
I prefer, you know what you're working?
Sometimes we do that early, don't
Yeah, we've done it as early as 4
Well, I-
o'clock before.
Yeah.
And we've had it at
I don't get
school.
off the phone.
Huh?
I don't get off the phone.
Okay.
We can have it here at the school board office in the conference room. It's,
What about 5 o'clock, school board office?
I don't make
5 o'clock, school board office.
I think I'm working today.
You slide out a little early, you want to make it a little later?
I can leave. 5 o'clock.
Yeah, unless you want to make it later, we can. You need approval of that? All right, I'll make a motion approval of closeout meeting on June 25th at 5 p.m. at the school office.
Second.
Got a motion from me, got a second from Mr. Sally, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
John, do you need an approval to pay bills that come in that need to be paid before we meet?
I'll make that request at that meeting.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir. If you all granted me to that ability to do that in years past, then I'll ask that again at that meeting there. Thank you. Next item we have is the BPSA grant. This particular grant, of course, what Scott County does receive is in the total sum of $414,000. And this money, of course, is used to update our internal components with our technology, whether it's networking, servers, video equipment, things of that nature. And then we have this resolution here, just ask your all's approval to adopt the resolution as presented for the VPSA, Virginia Public School Authority grant application.
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Mr. Sally,
Second.
second from Mr. Housewright, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Now, the next item we have is a long list of grant applications that we make. This will be for the 24-25 school year. Will I can condense these all into one,
You
Kate?
can.
Which include Title I, Part A, Title II, Part A, Title III, Part A, Title IV, Part A, Title IV, Part B, which is your 21st Century Learning Centers. This will be a new application that we will have to process this upcoming year. We just finished out the last cycle, so this will be brand new. So we're starting all over with this one again. We also have our Title 6B, which is our special needs program, as well as the Title 6B preschool special needs, our Forest Reserve funding, and our Perkins Career and Technical Education grants that we will make an application for. I ask your all's approval that we can proceed with these particular grants. I know there's a figure to the right after the explanation of these different types of grants. These are projected amounts. These are not exact amounts because we just don't have those yet. But it's going to be somewhere very close to those amounts.
Looks like a total, which might not get them all, 22.5 and 3 million.
Correct. If everything goes well, with the exception of the 21st Century, that's the question mark there, because that is a competitive grant. These others, again, we make application year after year, and we have not been denied any of those. With the 21st Century grant, that is a competitive grant, so we're hopeful that we can get it for another 3-year cycle.
Who writes it?
We have a team. I'll use Ms. Robinette, for example. She presented the 6B special needs as well as the 6B preschool grant to each of you last month.
Yeah.
And I have dedicated individuals that takes care of each of these. Title I and Title IV, Ms. Quillen does that. Title II, Ms. Frazier writes that. Our Title IV, also Ms. Quillen. Our 21st Century grant, of course, that is a team of individuals who's been operating that program for a number of years. Our Forest Reserve, we get that because we have a few acres of national forest land in the county. And I have to certify that we're going to use that money for educational purposes. So hopefully that amount will be a little better than the 44,000 that's listed there. Of course, the Perkins Career and Technical Grant, Mr. Urban and his staff writes that grant. But I need your all's approval to proceed with these as we had done in years past.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Got a motion from Mr. Houserath, got a second from Ms. Edwards, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Yes, sir.
Next item we have is approval of the Head Start financial report for April 2024. Unless there's any particular questions in regards to this document, I ask your approval as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Mr. Houserath. Second from Mr. Mead, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Next item we have is the Head Start 2024-25 Transportation Waiver Request Report. I ask your approval of this document as presented, unless, of course, you have any questions in regards to it.
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Mr. Hood,
Second.
second from Mr. Houserath, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Next item we have is the Head Start 2024 to 2025 selection and enrollment criteria. Excuse me, unless there's any particular questions in regards to this document, I ask your approval as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Motion from Mr. Hood,
Second.
second from Mr. Sally, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Next item we have is the Head Start change in scope application program schedule. And I need, unless there's any particular questions in regards to this document, I ask your approval as presented.
Motion from Mr. Mead, second from Mr. Hood, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Next item we have is a Head Start Director's Report for May of 2024.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
Motion from Mr. Houserath,
Second.
second from Mr. Hood, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Last item I have is the 2024-25 Head Start Contract Employment List. Unless there's any questions, I ask your approval of that list as presented.
A motion from Mr. Hood,
Second.
and a second from Mr. Houserath, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Do we have
Just
one?
have to kill a lot of
It's
trees.
just been listed.
Did we approve that?
Yeah. So if we just need a motion to amend the agenda to also put this Head Start application for COLA on there. For cost of living.
I'll make a motion. for
I'll
the-
second.
So you got a motion from me and a second from Ms. Edwards, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
And it's this last document here. It is the cost of living adjustment for employee wages for the remainder of this fiscal year, which will be retroactive according to this.
Is this just for Head Start?
This is
It's
just for Head Start, yes, sir.
It's just to approve the application or request.
Okay.
So unless there's any particular question in regards to this document, I ask your approval as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Mr. Houserath,
I'll second.
and a second from Ms. Edwards, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, that is all that I have.
Thank you, Mr. Ferguson. My understanding, we need to enter into a closed meeting
Yes, I move that we enter into closed meeting to discuss candidates for employment and assignment and performance of Head Start personnel, teachers, nurses, custodians, as provided in section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia as amended. I also move that we enter into closed meeting to consult with legal counsel pertaining to specific legal matters requiring legal advice as provided by section 2.2-3711A8 of the Code of Virginia as amended to discuss the contract with Pearson.
I'll second. Got a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We're going to adjourn for a while. Thank you all.